Good morning everyone, hope you're doing okay. Risk sentiment overview for the 21st of the 7th, 2022. We've got ECB today, so be careful of that. The implied volatility on the euro is tremendously high today, so it looks like a stop hunt all across the board on euro crosses, so be very careful. Risk calculation, I think we're going to go risk on by tomorrow, but the way that this is going, we're going to be risk on at the big picture. VIX is below the yearly pivot, and the yields as well, they also capitulated some gains, and we might be getting a steepening on the yield curve, which would be a risk on, fundamentally speaking. So if this goes to green, then that's going to be quite bullish for indices. So there is a little bit of a caveat, is yesterday the S&P, ES, the E-mini futures, they dumped so hard, so suddenly yesterday. It wiped out 3 hours of gains in 5 minutes. We had a whale, or some big fish, and it just absolutely it plummeted in 5 minutes. 3 hours of gains. So someone wanted to short it, and down we came. So something about some bad data on a sort of a bond perspective. I can't remember. Zero Hedge said something which I didn't fully understand, but something came out and it hit the wires, and then that's what caused the free fall. So that would have been a huge 200-point drop on the Dow in 5 minutes. So you've got to be careful. I think that's just saying they want us out. This is like a thing where they want to buy, but they don't want the retail guys to be long, and this is probably like a flush, which I think was probably what's going to happen. They want to buy the big fish, but they don't want the small fry to join, and this is why this happened potentially. So be careful. That would have probably that would have ruined your week probably just in 5 minutes. So be very careful. There's the yields. So these come down at the short dated. That's good. In fact, if they all came down, that would be good. But if they come down at the short dated, that's fine, because then we're going to get a steepening. We want low numbers here and high numbers up here. So I'll show you what I mean when we get to the yield curve. But this is potentially fairly risk on. If they all went red, then that would be good. Set an alarm for 26.5 for VIX. It looks like we might hold below now. We're at 23.88, so less fear and less worry. If that keeps coming down, it's going to be bullish as well. So things are looking quite good for bullish sentiment. There's the greens for indices. So there's France 40, US 30. Oil is also green. Dollar CADs are red. I did put out a video in the private channel in Discord about dollar CAD, so we've got a sell order in. I've done that now. I placed that order, and so that's that. So hopefully that's useful. Remember to get the colours to match. Dollar is on the back foot. Dollar CAD is the weakest, and Aussie USD is strongest. Whether or not that's going to persist, we don't know. And the ECB is going to cause a lot of problems as well. We might see a reversal on the dollar, which would be frustrating, but markets don't go in straight lines, do they? They've got to zigzag. So it's why placing orders are good, because if they don't get filled, you don't lose any money. But if they do, that's fine. So orders are great, and it does take out a lot of the FOMO as well. You probably might be getting FOMO and feel like you have to be trading. I don't feel like that at all now. I just place an order. If it does, then that's great. If it doesn't, that's fine. I had a good day on gold yesterday. It was okay. There's the CAD strongest and dollar is weakest. We might be seeing a shift in today, pending ECB. But we should be seeing a shift in, I suppose you could say. Snapshot. So it's how we are right now. So green is buy and red is sell. We note that the Germany 30 has flipped, so that is of note. They bought the DAX and they bought the S&P. So if they continue, the risk calculation will remain risk off at the big picture. And there's yesterday. So you can see how S&P was a buy and Germany 30 was a buy, but of course they've had to buy the dip. By buying the dip, it goes to sell, right? So less people know about the FXCM and sentiment, generally speaking, the better, because if they knew about it, then at their sentiment, the power that we get from the analysis will lessen. The more people know about it, the weaker the analysis becomes. So that's possibly the reason, maybe, why they bought it, because they're looking at sentiment. Maybe, I'm not sure, but yeah, just be careful. S&P, so we had a big blip. There's the buy, and we're currently undergoing a sell, which obviously I just noted. we're going into positive territory, so we're over 50%. I don't know what's going to happen, whether or not they're going to buy or sell. We don't know. But if you get a copy of the terminal, you'll see. So, you know, you can help yourself with your analysis, especially if you're trading something. I can't analyze every market all at the same time, so it's impossible. The US 30's got like a hexagon with a circle on it. That's a what if scenario. Currently it's a buy, if you can see that pixel here. But however, you know, they might buy it. We don't know. And that's why we've got like a warning sign here. So like a what if scenario. Yeah, maybe they'll buy it, maybe they'll sell it. We don't know. It's difficult. We'll probably need a scary news event, maybe, and then therefore they'll sell it. Germany 30, you know, we currently sell, but they might sell it or buy it. You can maybe look at some analysis. Maybe they're looking at breaks and things like that. So if we break that, that should probably cause them to be quite bearish, and then there could be a buy at that break, maybe. You have to try and think of like the retail mindset, what he or she would do. Perhaps they're looking at diagonals, perhaps they're looking at horizontals. But they will be using the hourly time frame. So hourly is good if you want to look at herd sentiment. Okay. Gold, it's kind of sideways, but this went exactly how as we forecast in the Discord channel. I was saying to target 1690, and you know, we got there. It's quite a smooth trade, to be honest with you. It was quite nice. So I'm actually up quite a bit on the week, which is cool. Just on one trade. So I've got a dollar CAD order and I've got the Euro USD order, and they are in the trade recommendations section, intraday trade ideas in Discord. So if you want to know what I'm personally doing, it's in that little section there. There's the yield curve. So like I said at the top, is that if these come down, then it will basically steepen the curve. So these could stay where they are, but if these come down, this yield, this curve here will it won't invert so much, and it will actually it will steepen, and it will revert to how it should be. We should be seeing like a diagonal line, not a curvature. So if these come down, which they had done overnight, that's possibly quite a good sign. Okay. However, we do have the inversion. That's really important to note, is that we are inverted pretty massively. That's not healthy. So maybe we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay. Stop loss cluster update. So really not much movement at all, which is quite interesting. The EU and GU didn't move at all, which is really strange. No movement at all from the crowd on those two pairs, and really not much to write home about on anything else. There's no big shifts at all, and the largest mover was 3%. So perhaps an anticipation and apprehension for today. And stop loss clusters AU. The size is higher up today and it's smaller, so it was absolutely humongous below. If you remember, it was a 10% below, but we never did probe it, so that is interesting. So whether or not we're going to probe it, we don't know. It might just continue higher and we might get the one above, so we'll have to wait and see with that one. Don't necessarily target the largest stop loss cluster. We have to remember fundamentals and sentimental logic as well. The reason that we'd come down to take the SLC below would have to be risk off, okay, because AU is sensitive to risk on, risk off flows. So you have to remember that we don't just target the largest stop loss cluster. We'd have to look at, you know, the big picture. You know, what's happening. Will it target for reason X or Y? You know, just sentimentally it might be a target, but we have to remember the other logic as well. And so that's that. Remember fundamental logic, so risk on, risk off flows. You know about this by now, but just in case you don't, it's the promo code, the Quasidb promo code is going to lessen in power after the 1st of September, and it's going to cost $31 a month after the 1st of September. So if I were you, I would do an annual subscription and you get locked in at $10 a month, right? Or if you don't, then you're going to pay $31 a month. So it's a big difference, it's a huge difference, so do it while you can. Use the Quasidb code, get the annual plan, and you're locked in at that price for a year, as opposed to paying that a month. Okay, and so yeah, the dollar is being naughty. So what's leading me to think is that it's actually setting a trap. So if we get a 7 out of 7 score, retail guys have shown us their hand in a game of poker, and they said, "Oh, we want to do this today." And obviously the reverse happens. Now what's currently happening is that the retail guys are gone one way, but then they're getting paid, so it's a little bit of a leeway for them right now. And if they get like the carrot and the stick, they're being allowed to eat a little bit of the carrot right now, and then they're gonna tug the carrot away, and then that's where the trap's going to be. So this number should increase, and we should be getting a lot higher. And this is what's happening, is that they're just getting paid a little bit on their dollar exposure, and then suddenly they'll just take their profits away, aka carrot, and then they'll be stuck. So that's what I think's happening. Especially we've got ECB, it's a high risk event, and so they're just allowing them to have a little bit of profit. ECB complete reversal, and then they're going to be trapped. And what should normally happen is that they're stubborn and they'll hold them to losses, and then it becomes worse for themselves. Okay, and so that's that. We only had the one signal yesterday as EU, and we had 15 pip profit. I'm not entirely sure why this triggered. I'm not sure if we had like a little bug on investing.com, because we would only have this if we had a strong sell at investing.com. Perhaps temporarily we had a strong sell metric on the website. Perhaps it just glitched to strong sell, or it legitimately went to strong sell on the technicals, but then it just reverted. So that's the only reason we would have got the sell signal, is that the investing.com has strong sell or strong buy. Okay, so it's probably maybe the website, it maybe just glitched a little bit, but nevertheless we had 15 pips profit. So, and the technical has to match sentiment. We haven't had many signals, so what's happening is that the technicals are deviating away, and we're seeing a shifting away from the sentiment. So this is why we're not having many signals this week, which is really quite interesting. Last week they got absolutely destroyed. This week nothing's really going on, because things are turning on the the big picture. So EU, we neutral. So it's interesting, we went to strong sell to neutral on the daily. So I wonder whether or not it did glitch a little bit, maybe a little bug. It bugged out a little bit. So we shouldn't have really had the EU sell signal, unless of course it did go to strong sell, then it reverted to neutral. But neutral, we wouldn't be getting anything. Neutral, ditto. Dollar yen, assuming that the bubbles agree, then we could get a dollar yen. And as long as it's strong buy or strong sell at the summary daily. Okay. And obviously ECB, and Marco shared some amazing analysis in Discord, so do check that out. It's really useful, and the implied volatility for the euro crosses is ridiculous today. So stop hunts basically, and just to be careful. 4 hours time now, and I'm going to wrap up the video. And sorry it's late today, but I was talking to some new customers, and they're going to come on board, which is cool. And I'll speak to you guys tomorrow for the bulletin, and let's see what happens with the dollar CAD. If it fills, that's fine, but if it doesn't, no worries, and I'll speak to you later.